Hello, everybody. Welcome to our program, Consciousness in Evolution. My name is Ana Yogan. I'm here representing Reaprendencia International, a consciouscentric institution dedicated to re-education. You can find our page, Reaprendencia International, at YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. Today, we have a very special guest that's going to talk about cosmoethics. Why cosmoethics matters. So traditional ethics is usually based on culture, religion, or social norms. In the other hand, cosmoethics transcends the traditional understanding of ethics or morality because it looks at the universal responsibility. So, what is evolutionary beneficial for all consciousness across time, space, and dimensions? Do our choices contribute positively or negatively to the collective evolution? Do my actions benefit or create harm? So, to talk about this and much more, we are going to welcome Cristina Arakaki. Cristina is a researcher in cosmoethics and paralaw. She has been a volunteer of Conscientiology since 1995. She's been an instructor since 1997. She has an academic background in law and postgraduate studies in international relations. Currently, she volunteers at Juriscons, the International Association of Paralaw. Welcome, Cristina. It's very nice to have you here.
Hi, Anna. Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for this invitation. I'd like to welcome all people that are with us today, right now. And I'm very glad to be here to discuss with you, to debate it with you, and also to know your ideas about cosmoethics. So this is a kind of provocative question, why cosmoethics matters. And I am assume that it matters. But if you do not agree, please share your impressions with us, okay? So, Anna, I'd like to know where those who are here with us in the online are from. So, if you could please put your name and where you're from, where you're at this right moment in this place, in this evolutionary moment, just for me to know you a little bit, okay? So this is the topic, Anna, that I decided to talk about because I studied cosmoethics since I knew conscientiology, and it's one of my main topics of research. Okay, and also paralaw. That's like an advanced stage of cosmoethics, we can say like that. Okay, so I'd like to start with a little history of myself. So why I decide to choose cosmoethics as a topic, and why do I study cosmoethics since I knew conscientiology? Because cosmoethics, it was like a personal intermissive password. Let me explain this a little bit. It was 1995, and I was like working in a law firm. I had a good marriage. I had a good salary, and I had friends. I lived at that time in Rio de Janeiro, and now I live in Foz do Iguaçu. But at that time, I was not like happy. It was strange because I had everything that ordinary person could have at that time. Okay, but some kind of insatisfaction of inner sadness. I had this inner sadness. I had this melancholy, what we call it melancholy. introphysical melancholy. Okay, so I start to look for some answers about this melancholy. So I start to uh, be in some groups that study philosophy, mysticism, esotericism, just for me to get more in touch with my transcendent part. Okay, and one day I was introduced to this book, Projectology. That's a treaty written by Dr. Valdo Vieira, who proposed the new science of conscientiology. But in this book, it's a treaty about the projection of the consciousness, or the out of body experience. So a relative of mine introduced me to this book, gave this book to me, and I opened this book at random, just at this page here, where the topic talks about cosmoethics. And when I read this expression, when I read this word and read all the chapters related to cosmoethics, something very different and extraordinary happened to me. I became more calm, and all the information, although I did not understand the analogies, more some words that were written in this book, the whole idea make fully sense for me. And I thought, wow, this is something I want to know more about. Okay. And then I start to, well, I went to the IIPC. At that time, it was only IPC, the International Institute of Conscientiology, in Rio de Janeiro. And I started doing the courses there. And as far as I developed my study and my researches in conscientiology, since that time up to now, I have this conviction that cosmoethics, it's a fundamental concept of conscientiology. It's a very essential topic. It's a very essential subject. It's a very essential uh, subject that we have to study, because without cosmoethics, we cannot evolve. Without cosmoethics, we cannot be happy. Without cosmoethics, we cannot uh, assist others. Without cosmoethics, we cannot develop our parapsychism. So cosmoethics is the key for evolution. All other attributes are very important as well, but cosmoethics is like the key that opens the performance or the best part of the consciousness. You know that? So that's why I have this conviction, according to my studies and according to my experience, that cosmoethics is a sine qua non condition of evolution. Yeah. And during our courses, during our, all the courses, all the lectures that we have, I think that's very important that we emphasize cosmoethics and that we motivate people to study more cosmoethics and to enhance their manifestation according to cosmoethics. Okay, that's why I choose to talk about this topic with you. So, hello, Leona, Mihaela, Eliane, Leandro. It's very nice to have you here. Thank you, okay, for having you here. So, Eliane is saying that cosmoethics is one of my favorite themes in conscientiology. Mine as well, Eliane, you know about that. And I think that this should be one of the main topics of interest of anyone who wants to know more about conscientiology, know more about oneself, okay? and to evolve, to recycle. Yes. So we are going to do this talk here according to these guiding questions. So, what is cosmoethics? Why should we follow and experience cosmoethics? And how can we follow and experience cosmoethics on a daily basis? As I said in the beginning, I'm very open to your participation, your questions, okay, and also your experiences. Yeah, mainly because we do have a very important principle here in conscientiology. That is the principle of disbelief. Or that means that you have to make your convictions, or you have to make your relative convictions, yes, by experience. So this interchange of ideas, this interchange of experience with others is very important. So we can have different perspectives, we can learn from each other. That's very good. But take for granted everything that a person said, it's very dangerous. Okay, so the idea here is for everyone to share your own experiences and ideas. You are very welcome to disagree with what I'm going to say here, because what I'm going to say here is based on my own experiences, and also by studying, reflecting upon the ideas, the proposals of conscientiology. Okay, so let's begin. What is cosmoethics? To answer the questions, I think that we should go a little bit some steps back, okay, and think about those very classic philosophical questions that everyone has, or at least the majority of people have once in their lives, okay, and these questions exist since the, I don't know, beginning of humanity. I don't know if the first Homo sapiens start to, when they are more aware of their condition, yes, if they start had a chance to think about that. But these are classic philosophical questions that a lot of schools of philosophy and other schools of knowledge is trying, or are having the objective to answer. And so as conscientiology, okay? And what is conscientiology? Conscientiology is a new science that has been proposed with the objective to offer some kind of ideas, some principles, and what we call the leading edge relative truth, okay? In order to give some subside to helping people to answer those questions by experience, by reflecting, by trying to renew the way that we think and interact with other consciousness. So conscientiology is this proposal of a new science that was proposed by Dr. Valdo Vieira. Okay, I'm not going to go deeper in conscientiology. In this channel here, you have a lot of very good lives and other presentations that have this wide and broad and more deepened view about conscientiology, but just revise some concepts, yes? So this is a study of the entire consciousness. What do I mean entire consciousness? Because according to this proposal of the study of the consciousness means what we are, our soul, our ego, our essence, our spirit, okay? So in order to study this consciousness, we have to consider that the consciousness is not in our brains, not a byproduct of our physical brain, okay? And the consciousness is not a byproduct of our psychic activity, our psychology, considering the psychology, the psychology, okay? So according to conscientiology, in order to study the entire consciousness, we have to consider that the consciousness use a set of body or vehicles of manifestations, okay, that the consciousness, what we are, what I am, what you are, okay, we can manifest ourselves in multiple dimensions in a series of lives. That means that we had past lives and then we're going to have new ones. And due to this approach, it's necessary to plot like a consciential, a different paradigm, because a paradigm is like a, how can you say that? A paradigm is like a theoretical framework of a discipline or scientific schools, okay? It's like a model, what I said, set of ideas on which we can research, okay? On which we can perform our studies. So considering that the actual scientific paradigms do not consider consciousness as different from the byproduct of the brain, okay? Do not consider study non-physical subjects or objects. It was necessary to present, to propose a new set of this new framework in order for us to develop our studies of consciousness. So it was the consciential paradigm. And the consciential paradigm also said that there are two main principles in this universe. That is, there are the objects of our studies, consciousnesses, okay, and energy. And we consider these energies in a didactic way, the energy from nature and the energy from the consciousness. And one basic premises of the consciential paradigm is evolution. Okay, everything tends to evolve. So, in this consciential paradigm, we have this theoretical framework to study consciousness, as we define, also we give some synonyms of consciousness. Okay, considering the vehicles, the holosoma, the multidimensionality, the seriality, and the energy that we use, all the consciousness use in order to manifest itself, right? And this manifestation happens with thoughts, sentiments, and acts, and this is energy. That means energy. So that's why you have full scene, thoughts, sentiments, and energy or acts. Okay, and we manifest ourselves in a series of lives, right? So this is a very quick revision. All right, so let's go. And as if everything tends to evolve, that means that all the consciousness and all the consciential principles in these planets and even in other planets, okay, are in a progressive way of change, that we tend to renovate, to recycling, yes? And what means by progressive change, renovate, and recycling? How we can explain this? Well, we can explain this by suggesting that by innovate and by being a progressive change, we have the preponderance of self-discernment. That means that we have the capacity to distinguish from two different things, but also to know what's better than other things, okay? And in these days, nowadays, this era that we are living in, self-discernment, it's a very worthy attribute. I don't know if you agree with me, because we have a lot of information, we have a lot of inputs, we have a lot of ideas, and we have what Barry Schwartz named as a paradox of choice. We have a lot of opportunities, we have a lot of opportunity to choice, mainly not all of us, but the majority of us. And sometimes we do not know what to do, right? And we stay like prisoned. Yes. Progressive change also means balanced emotions and feelings. Yeah, so this is nowadays is very important as well, because we live in an area of a great mental disease, and we see people like do not coping very well with the emotions or the conflicts that all of us have. Okay, so this is causing a lot of suffering, and also means self-responsibility. When we take the accountability for the direction of our own evolution, we are responsible for our own evolution, and we do not depend on dogmas, or we do not depend on ideas that are imposed to us. So this self-discernment, balanced emotion and feelings, and also self-responsibility means that what you call hollow maturity, okay? And hollow maturity is one of the units of evolution. The more evolved the consciousness is, the more mature he or she is as well, okay? And this self-responsibility also means to make choices and decisions. Sometimes we have to choice between two good things. Some things we have to do concessions, okay? And be accountable for the consequence of our choices, and do not blame third parties, and do not be a victim of our own wrong choices. That means hollow maturity as well. Is that okay, Anna?
Yes, I do have a question, because you were talking about evolution, and I thought about evolution in terms of Darwin, and
Mm-hmm.
as we evolve, we start losing things that we don't use anymore. Like we lost our tail, we lose some other structures that become dispensable. And in terms of human evolution and consciential evolution, let's put it this way, we will need to start gaining something, right? Which is more discernment. And
Yeah.
what else would you think it's important for us to aim and to try to focus in the study in order to have more cosmoethics?
This is a very good question, Anna, and I hope that I could answer this for you in the next slides, okay? Right?
Okay.
Uh, but you're right. When you talk about evolution, we have this, evolutive theory of Darwin, yes? Talk about evolution here, we are talking about be more aware, enhance our sense of self-awareness. I see that Mario is here with us. Hello, Mario. Terry as well. Be welcome. And I mentioned Mario here because I saw a very good webinar that he did, and it's in the channel here, about multidimensional self-awareness. So one synonym of consciousness evolution is really this to evolve our multidimensional self-awareness, to start our experience that we are not only this body here, okay, and do not identify ourselves with this body. And trying to answer a little bit your question here, Anna, is also to have a different set of moral values and principles, or having a different set of moral rules. Why that? Because let's think in this way. So evolution here means self-evolution, okay? But also interdependence, because according to Conscientiology, not only Conscientiology, a lot of other studies and philosophical lines, okay, states that individual evolution only exists in a group. That seems like a paradox, yes? And the way that we evolve in a group is by catalyzing our interassistance. Yes, and these all this mechanism that like is the evolutional the evolutive mechanism is what you call the multidimensional mechanism of interassistance. So interassistance is in the basis of our evolution. So if we consider the manifestation of consciousness in multiple dimensions using non-physical bodies and across a series of existence is human morality sufficient? What do you think? Yes. So how can we enhance our sense of morality, of ethics? How can we enhance our self-evolution, make um, more making our choices and making decisions that could help not only ourselves but only in order to assist others? Is moral the moral framework, the human morality sufficient, right? And another question that could come from this reflection is what organize and balance this evolutionary mechanism that so in order to answer these questions, that's why you have cosmoethics. So cosmoethics is the moral philosophy of conscientiology. That means a dimensional cosmic morality. And it's a set of principles that lead us to make fewer mistakes, right? And to improve the inner reform of one's micro-universe. That this inner reform of one's micro-universe means recycling, means evolve, means express the best version of ourselves, okay? Means enhance our multidimensionality self-awareness, means enhance our lucidity, our self-discernment, and be identify ourselves less with this physical body, although it's very important to take care of this body and to, how can I say that, to take care of this body and to like be grateful for this intraphysical life here, but not to do not identify ourselves with this body only. Okay. So cosmoethic extends beyond the social, moral, and ethics because since we can manifest ourselves in other dimension, that's why we have all the studies of the paraphenomenon and the development of parapsychic, which is the projection of the consciousness of the out-of-body experience, is one of the main and best experience that you have in order to enhance all these parapsychics and to have our own convictions that we can exist outside of this physical body here, and we can manifest ourselves not only by this physical brain here. So what kind of morality we have to follow when we are outside of the body, for instance? Okay, so what morality do we have to follow when we, just for an example, we could get in touch with extraterrestrial beings, like extra-physical consciousness, for instance. Okay, this human morality here, it's only for us in this life, right? This present life here and within this body. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So we need this set of principles that transcend the human morality. That means a universal code of conduct. Yes. And this set of morality ideas that reflect the dynamic of multi-existential and multidimensional existence. Because in our past lives, we had some kind of experiences according to, at that time, moral codes. And it's what in this life, sometimes we inherit some of that principles, the way of conduct, that nowadays it's not up to date. Okay, it has like it's old. We do not need anymore this standard of morality, for instance, that we had in contact in our past lives. So that's why you have to update this. And if we agree with these premises of conscientiology, that we are not this physical body here, we have to have a moral compass different from the human morality.
We have a question here.
Yeah.
Leona is asking, how can we have a universal cosmic ethics, knowing that we came from different backgrounds and moral standards?
Very good, Leona. Thank you for your questions. Exactly. How can we have this universal cosmic ethics? First of all, by knowing that these moral human codes here is not only the only ones, okay? And another things that considering that our moral standard, for instance, I know that let me see, you are from Lebanon, okay? So that's interesting because our moral standard, it differs from cultures, it differs from religion, for instance, it differs from eras, epochs, yes. So our moral standards are still developing according our knowledge and our capacity of reflecting, mainly regarding what will be the best thing to do, not only for ourselves, but only for others. Okay, so we can have this cosmic, universal cosmic ethics by admitting, even by a hypothesis, that we are not from this planet and that as human we are as human beings now, but are not from this planet, and that we can manifest ourselves in other dimensions, and in these other dimensions we should follow like a set of principles or ethics rules that are not, like, how can I say, compressed in a certain moral view that is, for instance, influenced by religion or influenced by ideological point of view. So considering that you are a cosmic citizen, yes, that now you are in Lebanon, now here in Brazil. So I'm Brazilian. I don't know if you're Lebanese, but we should not only follow these rules. We should follow the rules, of course, of Brazilian laws, of other countries' laws. But what will fundament, what will be the basis of our choices and our decisions, are not only based on that. It's based on our reflections, our principles, and our values. I don't know if I answer your question, Leona. Please let me know if I was clear enough for you.
I believe that when we go outside of our homes and we start exposing ourselves to other cultures, this
Right,
kind of increases our level of cosmoethics, because we start noticing that the golden rule is not actually what works in terms of multidimensionality or extra-physical world. It's a lot more than that, right?
right,
If we learn to have this kind of respect to other cultures, to other religions, it's already something that is going to facilitate our assistance to this consciousness. Am I right, or what do you
yes,
think
yes,
about it?
Anna. Right, you are very right. Thank you very much. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So here we have some definitions of cosmoethics. I'm not going to explain all of this, but I'm just putting here just for you to know that in conscientiological literature, how we have a lot of cosmo definitions, né? Um, of cosmoethics, okay? And by showing these definitions, my intention here is to offer you a broader view about what is the proposal of cosmoethics. So it's the same moral, evolutionary, replaceable code for all consciousnesses, being that consciousnness here in this intraphysical dimension in different countries, living in different cultures, but it's established upon universalism. That's what Anna has just said, okay? Universalism, that consider that you are a citizen of the cosmos, and that all of the consciousness, intraphysical and extraphysical, and the consciousness, the consciential principles we are in a kind of brotherhood with them. Yes? Even with those who we disagree with. It's a comprehensive, universal, intro and extraphysical norm, so it should apply once we are here in this intraphysical dimension, manifesting ourselves in this intraphysical dimension, and also when we manifest ourselves in the extraphysical dimension. Yes. So it's in addition to principles of social morality, euphemism, social conventions, law, and transitory human labels. It's a set of values that regulate consciousness conduct in every dimension, okay? It reflects these cosmic multidimensional morals. It's maximum moral emotional discernments that arises from the intimacy of consciential universe. So that's a very good definition because it gives us the perspective that cosmoethics is not outside us. This cosmoethics, this set of rules that regulate this mechanism of evolution, but the cosmoethics within us. It's within our consciential micro universe. Okay, and that's some other definitions here, right? Just let me know if you have any other definitions of cosmoethics. When you think about cosmoethics, can you just summarize one idea that linked you with this idea of cosmoethics? Just share here your ideas with us if you could, if you want to as well.
Yeah, Leandro actually asks, how can the cosmoethic personal code help us to understand cosmoethics? How it works between us and the cosmic laws?
Leandro, thank you for your question, but I'm going to talk about the personal code of cosmoethics right away. Just wait a little bit, okay? It's very good, people. You are having questions and you are participating. So this is other purpose or proposals about cosmoethics. So the more cosmoethics, the more involved the consciousness. And that's very interesting. That's a suggestion here. Do everything to make others happy. This is labeled cosmoethics. So when you do intersistence, when you think about others, not only in yourself, okay? When you start to perceive that you make part of a greater system that's not only your belly, okay, your umbigo, yes. So that's
Belly
why
button.
belly button. Thank you, Anna. That's why when you start to perceive more cosmoethics. Yes. And one synthesis of cosmoethics when you defend the rights and fight against the privilege of consciousness. Okay. So let's move forward because I'm seeing here the time. Okay, people, why should we follow and experience this cosmoethics? So taking into account that we have this set of universalist moral rules, and that we have the chance to apply this in our daily lives. So how should we follow and experience cosmoethics? Well, um, concerning the self-evolution, one benefit of applying and follow cosmoethics is to eliminate self-corruption. Self-corruption is when you know the correct thing to do and we do not do it. We neglected to do it. It was like a self-deceit, okay? And there are two types of self-corruptions according to cosmoethics and to conscientiology. It's I'm going to explain it here in a very direct, in a very fast way. There's what we call explicit self-corruptions that are in less number, considering, for instance, the intermissive, the evolutionary level of the intermissivists. So just remind you that the intermissivists are those consciousness who admit that did like what you call intermissive course, that a set of lessons or a moment in between lives, okay, uh, during their think the extra physical period between lives. It's an opportunity for us to reflect more about the sense of our evolution and what we have to do in our next life, and also to revise some kind of values, concepts, and do like kind of revision of our existence up to that time. Okay, so we in the intermissive course we have a chance to be introduced to some new ideas that we haven't had before, and how to we can apply these new ideas not only for our own evolution but also to the help evolution of others, to do interassistance. So the majority of the intermissivists, we can say that, we can assume that, it's a hypothesis, have less explicit self-corruptions. But on the other hand, the hidden is generally greater in number. Okay, so and the line of separation between self-corruption and self-incorruption tends to be very subtle. Okay, so these self-corruptions lead us to do anti-cosmoethical acts like unsuspect mental self-corruptions. Let me say something. When you talk about human morality, we are talking about the expression, the manifestation of an act, okay? But human morality do not embraces the quality of our intentions. So you can do one thing and you can think of a different thing, like you are being coherent. A lot of things that human morality do not considering the effects of our thoughts, our sentiments, or of foreseeings. So as the purpose, the proposals of conscientiology, as all our manifestations that is through our foresanity, this generates some kind of effects, right? So we can be, we can have like a kind of immorality or immorality just only by thinking or by expressing our sanity, and we do not have to do anything or say anything, right? So that's why it's so important to have cosmoethics as the base of our moral conduct, because according to this consciential paradigm, what we thought it comes with our sentiments, our emotions, and only our energies, generates some kind of effects, and this has some kind of consequences, right? And this could be a good consequence or not. This could be for good or for evil, right? And this is what is in, and this is the basis of our intentionality. Yes. So this is our some examples of anti-cosmoethical acts, right? Unsuspected mental self-corruption, waste of human resources when do not express our best version, when we like do not admit that we have like talents or what we call strong traits. Yes, our the mature expressions of our consciousness. And when you have like a conscious squandering, that's just like this example that I have, like you have a lot of talents and you decide not to express that, or you are afraid of express that, or you're afraid of express that, and that means that maybe you can take more responsibilities, right? So this is a very good expression that I thought that could tell us what self-corruption is. Self-corruption enslaves consciousness by making them believe in what they pretend. So we are living a lie when you are in a self-corruption way. Okay? Yes, Leona, I agree with you. I'm reading here your comment that cosmoethics being at a level of consciousness to behave in interest of humanity. Yes, that's it. The interest of humanity and para-humanity, right? So you have to also consider the para-humanity, that all the consciousnesses that are living or are manifesting themselves in the extra-physical dimensions, right? And maybe have behaved in the interests of humanity and all the consciousness, not only that live in this planet, maybe as well. You see, so it's when you start to think in a very broader way, and you have this cosmovision of evolution. When you start to understand that your acts, and that involves what you think and what we feel, is also have some kind of effects on the cosmos. So when we start to adjust our vicinity to this level of interest and appraisal and mega fraternity to the humanity and the para-humanity, that's why when we begin to act according to cosmoethics, right? Thanks, Eliana. Cosmoethics is a broad subject. Understanding increases with our maturity. The more cognitions, reflections you have. Yes, I totally agree with you. So, self-corruption is a door to intrusion. Let me explain a little bit about this. So, self-corruption has its root to irrationality, as Eliana has just said. Okay, the more cognition we have and the more reflection that we have, this enhance our sense of rationality. Yes, we tend to be more logical, using not only the introphysical logic, but also a multidimensional logic. But we tend to expand our approach. Yes, we tend to be less impulsive, and we tend to be less driven by our what you say emotions, by primitive emotions, right? So the lack of reflection and the lack of self-criticism, the lack of self-knowledge, that is the basis in the lack of cognition, self-cognition, self-knowledge, that are on the basis of irrationality, lead us to self-corruption. And self-corruption also is the root of inner conflict. You see, for instance, when you are incoherent, when we think one have one kind of thought and we do otherwise, we do different from this, okay? When we have some kind of value and we decide on the contrary direction of this value, right? When we know that something is not good anymore for us or for people that are around us, and we do insist in maintain this behavior or this emotion, or even to maintain companions, could be a lot of things. When we have the certainty, or we have this idea that something uh, it's it's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, and it's not for us anymore, and we maintain this, we decide to, even though we are certain, we have this certainty, but we maintain this for a lot of reasons, we have some kind of inner conflict. Okay, so there are a lot of reasons for inner conflict. So self-corruption, when, for instance, we do not admit, as good as we are in terms of a lot of attributes, when we know that we should embrace some kind of duty or take responsibility for some kind of activity, and we do not do this. This is self-corruption. This leads us to inner conflict. So this inner conflict destabilizes us. Like we have no balance with this inner conflict. It's a kind of pathology, an inner pathology. Okay, so we start having like thoughts that are not so good, and this lead us to self-intrusion. We start to suffering, we start to think about ourselves in a better manner, okay? And this self-intrusion is the door to lead to intrusion. That means the influence of other consciousness that are also pathological, that are not balancing their manifestation, okay? That are destabilized. I don't know if this word exists in English, but they're discompensate and that do not have good intentions. Sometimes these consciousnesses, these intruders that could be intraphysical consciousnesses or extraphysical consciousness, do have the intention to do the harm to us, but sometimes they do not. They are only have some kind of they need some energy. They have some, they, I don't know how to say carência. Yes, they're in lack of something. They're in lack of something. Think of energies, of mainly of sentiments. Okay, so that's why intrusion happens. And when we are in lack of self-esteem, when we are in lack of self-compassion, when we are in lack of energy, when discompensate our energies. So we also do this kind of self-intrusion. This is also the cause of self-intrusion, okay? And the way to solve this is to admit that we're not well, in the first hand, and to seek to solve this problem. To sometimes we need to seek for some help, yes, sometimes professional help, but sometimes we have to deep our self-research. We have to reflect more. We have to think more about ourselves. We have to reflect more why you decide to do this, why you decide not to do that, right? So that's the way that we start to diminish our irrationality and all the consequential forth that we are showing here, right?
Yes, and I could say like whenever you have a need that is not satisfied, you are going to be like a generating self-conflict. And this happens also in the intraphysical, in our relationships very commonly. And that sometimes the discussion and the argument occurs not because somebody is belligerent, but because a need is not satisfied. And
Yes.
we have to be able to satisfy our own needs in terms to become more aware of what our consciousness is, right?
Yeah, right. Thank you, Anna. Very right. Yes. So, self-corruption, as I said before, is one cause of the pathologies of intentionality. Yes. And one of the symptoms of this pathology of intentionalities is inauthenticity. Remember that phrase that in self-corruption we intend to be someone that we are not. Okay. Even though it's not only for we think that we are greater than you are, but sometimes we think that we're less than we are, lesser than we are. And that's not good. We have to admit where we are with our strong traits, with weak traits, with our lack traits, yes, and have this motivation to be better, but not better in terms of money, not better in terms of success, but in terms of conscientiality. You know that? And one of the things that self-corruption help us to diminish is the ambiguous intentionality. Ambiguous intentionality is something that we should think more about, because it's when our intention is not clear or sincere, not even for ourselves, okay? And we have like second thoughts, right? And this is a great root of inner conflict and self-intrusion as well. Just remember that intentionality is one of the potent forces of consciousnesses. The first one is will, the second one is intentionality as proposed by Conscientiology, and the third one is self-organization. So when you start acting a cosmoethical way, you try to align these three forces, okay? You have your will to do things, to recycling yourself, to be a better person, right? And you adjust your intentionality in order to follow this path of being a better consciousness. And you have to organize yourself. You organize your thoughts, you organize your sentiments, you organize your life, you organize your family, you organize your agenda, you organize your physical surroundings, your intraphysical surroundings, you're organizing your emotions. So this is a very good example how we act in a cosmoethical way. And being more organized and being more stable, this will reflect beyond you. This will generate a wave of stabilized energy, a wave of energy that could help other consciousnesses. You see? So this is a great contribution in terms of intranscendence, is if one start to maintain in a more stable way of manifestation, right? We know that during the day we have ups and downs, but the more stable we are, the more we can contribute and do like a counterbalance, a counterweight to this destabilized and this confusion part and hollow scene that we have now on Earth due to real-backs, the urbanization of the planet. All these pathologies, all these sufferings, all these demands, emotional demands mainly, yes, all this confusion, that's not only all this lack of peace, all this violence. This is a very huge hollow thing that are on this planet right now. And as Leona said, to behave in the interest of humanity and para-humanity, it's doing our best using the law of great effort to be more stable, to be more constant, to be more calm, more tranquil. Besides all this, I don't know, crazy environment that we are living right now. I don't know if you agree with me. Yes. So to do this, we have to enhance our self-incorruptibility. We have to act in a more cosmoethical way. We have to admit what we have in terms of talent, of strong traits, right? And try to use them in favor of not only for us, but in favor of others. Okay? So let's move forward. So this is what happens when we start to act in a self-uncorrupt way, not more, we eliminate self-corruption. We stop to move on circles. We stop to repeat the same errors. We are going to do new errors, but we stop to do the same mistakes, the same errors, and stop to like walk in circles. And we have like a more straightforward path in order to comply with our proaxis, in order to fulfill our proaxis, our existential program. That's our mission of this life here, and towards our own evolution. Okay. Another way, another reason why you should follow and experience cosmoethics is to develop a moral autonomy and maturity. That means that we are going to have more critical judgment and disbelief. That's why we have the disbelief principle and reflection. And we are going to establish individual principles, not only following what is ordered and what is expected to be done without reflecting, okay? So we start to develop our own principle of judgments and actions. This is very important as well, mainly in these days, because sometimes we have a lot of influence and we are not aware of this kind of influence. So it's very important for us to think about what is important for us, what are our values, what are our principles, right? This is the moral autonomy. So this moral autonomy is the basis for self-determination. When you decide to do something and you know why you are doing something and for who you're doing this or for what you're doing this, right? This is the technique of it's one technique that you use in order to self-research more the quality of our intentionality. Yes, to know what we are doing, why we are doing something, or we want something, for who and for what, right? And this moral autonomy is also good for us to express freedom, yes, from external control or influence, and less passive to determinism. So we are going to use more free will, but with discernment and with responsibility. So this is just on a slide to remind us to have our own values and principles, right? And one thing that I just want to stress here in this slide is this proposal that in the intermissive period is an opportunity that you have to like updated our values according to more cosmoethical principles. So let me explain a little bit about this. For instance, justice. Maybe all of us here has justice as a value, okay? But sometimes, maybe in our past lives, justice would be like could be expressed or manifest. We could understand justice by the Italian principle, an eye for an eye, okay? Revenge, right? So, but justice is a value. Now, with this more evolutionary cosmovision that maybe we had in the intermissive course, we can understand that justice is no more an eye for an eye. Justice now could be react in a cosmoethical way from anti-cosmoethical acts. I don't know if I could explain myself by saying that. That means that when you suffer some kind of anti-cosmoethical act against you, you should act or you should react in a cosmoethical way. Okay, so this could now mean a new perspective of justice, right? And now, by as we do not have a lot of time, right, Anna? I'm just finishing here by saying the two main principles of cosmoethics and the two main principles that we should adopt in our daily lives when we decide something, when we make some decisions, or when we decide not to do something. Okay, what we call a superabit omission. Yes, something is good, but we know that's not for me. Superabitary omission principle. But the two principles I'm going to answer, Leandro, your questions. That the two principles that we could use in our daily lives in order to establish our personal code of cosmoethics are these. The principle of extending well-being, that the best happens for everyone. So every action, every thought, every sentiment that we manifest, we should have the intention that this will be the best for everyone, not only for me also, but not only for me, but for everyone. And when we say everyone, we say intraphysical consciousness, extraphysical consciousness, animals, plants, other consciential principles, extraterrestrials, and those who we disagree with, those who we are not so keen on, okay? So for everyone. I think in my case that's very challenging because although I can understand this cognitively, to put it in practice sometimes for me is challenging. I don't know for you guys. But also, we have to combine this principle with another one, that is the principle of destructive cosmoethics, that we could understand this principle as this. Why does not work, doesn't work. This, there is no use to cover it up. So we have to eliminate, we have to cut off, you have to just get rid of all the things, sentiments, thoughts, companions, physical objects, uh, whatever, that we know that does not work anymore for our evolution. Okay, so sometimes we have to do like a surgical cut, yes. And also, I think that is very challenging because sometimes we are very attached to some kind of thoughts, or sentiments, or companions, although we know that this does not work anymore, and sometimes it's harmful for us. So when we combine these two principles in our daily actions, in our daily decisions, in our daily manifestation, then that means that we are being cosmoethics. And those are the principles that we can use in order to, maintain our well-being. That is a very strong suggestions in the regarding the cosmoethics. Only cosmoethics can maintain a consciousness well-being. Only. And that's why we should follow and experience cosmoethics. So just keep in mind that our well-being is only limited to our own well-being, but our well-being is also related to how we relate to others, how we interact with others, or what the quality of the effect that we generate by our manifestation. That's also very important to maintain our well-being because we are part of a great system. And if we do not generate a good effect or an intersistential effect, and if we are not function integrated with this great intersistential max mechanism, we are not going to maintain our well-being, because we are all integrated. Everything is integrated, okay? So using these two principles is how we can live cosmoethics, right? It's how we can follow and experience cosmoethics in a daily basis. Because, and how we can do this in a practical way? We can do this in a practical way, establishing a list of actions and a list of cosmoethical falsenities that we call the personal code of cosmoethics. It's a very practical thing. You do something like this, you write down, okay, what you should do, and what you are not doing, but you should do in order to combine those two principles in a very practical way. So you reflect, you do like a kind of self-analysis, you do a kind of self-recognition about what I don't know, in what you are lacking in terms of self-incorruption, yes, and in a very serious way, you establish some direct and practical line of action. So you could write down some articles. This code of cosmoethics is a compilation of articles that you say to yourself what you should do. There will be no judge. Nobody's going to do like to see if you are complying with these rules. It's your responsibility to do this. This is also an example of holo maturity. When you start to establish your own rules in order to be in the interest of humanity and para-humanity, as Leona said, and very, very good, Leona, that you have in your book, that your book title is Free Will and Intentionality. I'm very interested to read it. Yes. And so having this personal code of cosmoethics, it's very important for us to establish our own rules, to establish the rules that has to be with our moral autonomy, and to establish the rules that has related to our self-incorruptibility, right? So the tool, it's an instrument, there are techniques to do this. So the benefits of implementing the CPC, Leandro, the personal code of cosmoethics, is to foster interassistentiality. So since we're going to be more to act in a more cosmoethical way, as a result, as a very logical result, you're going to be more cosmoethics. You are going to be more to do more interassistance, because you're going to respect more. We're going to treat others better. We're going to be more compassionate, have more compassion, okay? And you're going to understand that everybody is doing, or you could think that everybody is trying to do the best, that nobody wants to suffer. And when someone is suffering, it's because sometimes it's lack of knowledge and lack sometimes of love, lack of a lot of other sentiments, okay? So you start to foster interassistentiality, okay? The also implementing the CPC, you qualify your personal intentionality, yes? You expand your self-criticism, because we are invited to do a self-reflection about your actions, and the result of your actions, and to recognize what mistakes you did or you do, right? And in a self-unforgiving way, you are overcome these mistakes and try to enhance your manifestation in order to not repeat the same mistakes, right? So this self-unforgiving way, it's a way to self-empowerment. When you say to yourself, okay, I had this mistake, I did this mistake, but I know that I could do better, and I'm going to do better. I have the will, I have the intention to do better. Now I'm going to do better. This is what we could resume the self-unforgiving way of acting, right? And as a consequence, you leverage lucid self-parapsychos. So the personal code of cosmoethics would be a compass for the evolutionary well-being. And it's a very technical way to follow and to experience cosmoethics in a daily basis, right? So I don't know if there are questions, Anna, but I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to exchange this idea with you, of all of you. I'm very glad to have people from United States, from Foz do Iguaçu, from Lebanon, and it'd be very nice to have your feedbacks about what kind of ideas in this whole presentation here, in this whole talk, call your attention more. What did call more your attention in this whole presentation? If you could just write down, share with us some ideas or some concept or whatever, or if you disagree with what I said, that's okay as well. No
I'd like
difficulty.
to thank very much Chris for being here with us, and instructor Cristina. She's going to be answering more questions through her email. If you could say again, Chris, please.
Oh yeah, my email. Yeah, it's here. I've asked in the slides. I don't know if we can share this slide.
Oh yeah, you
Yes.
can share it again.
Okay. Let me see. How can you share it? Okay.
Here.
Yeah, here. Yes.
Okay.
This is my email, so I'll be open to answer some questions that I couldn't answer here. And I'd like to thank you all for being here with us. I'd like to thank you, Anna and Prudencia, for this invitation. It's always a pleasure, a very good. It's a pleasure for me to talk about cosmoethics. There are a lot of ideas that I want to share with you guys, but sometimes we do not have enough time. But that's okay.
No problem. You can
Another
come back.
opportunity.
Yes, you can come back anytime you want. We are very glad that you had the time and gave us this opportunity to be here. So thank you all for being here with us. We had a great lecture with instructor Cristina, and please come back for more.
I will. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, see you next time.
Have a good day or have a good evening wherever you are in this planet.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.